Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Esoterica and our continuing series, the Unported Playlist, where I take a look at my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And today we have Locked and Loaded by Data East, and this was a ROM swap for another game on the same board, and it is that classic 90s digitized sprite goodness that we all know and love and kind of make fun of. Before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But what can I say about Locked and Loaded? It is of its time and place. This is pure 90s 2D digitized sprite jankiness in its finest form. If you've been watching my channel whatsoever, you know that is something that I absolutely crave and love. But if you didn't just see what happened there, I'm going to freeze it in just a moment, because this game does some really weird things, and that's part of the reason I love it. If you didn't see, suddenly a woman popped up, and she was wearing full scuba dive gear inside of a building. And she's in there. Now, there are levels that have water where she makes contextual sense, but sometimes the enemies that appear in levels are just reused and they don't fit where they're supposed to be. But I love this business park here. This, if you didn't grow up, was what cars looked like back in the day. And this is what business parks look like, probably still today. And there's that woman again in full scuba gear in a parking lot. But all of these old cars are just such a time and place. And this game brings me back to the 90s where digitized sprites were huge. Stuff like Mortal Kombat really set the tone, but every arcade manufacturer wanted to have a game just like this. And one of the reasons they wanted to have a game like this is it's a lot easier to make the art. These are just static backgrounds, probably based on photographs. So as opposed to an artist in-house making the art, they just send somebody out on a location scouting situation. They take photographs of the backgrounds, and that becomes the game. You just hire people, or you even get people around the office to dress up like characters, have them pose for a few frames of animation, and that's how it works. And if you didn't notice, there's a rock climber with a rope at a marina. I'm not sure how many mountains are around there. Probably 0. This game is just, it is what it is. You can't really say it's good, you can't really say it's bad. The shooting mechanics as far as the light gun situations are concerned are quite good. It's just pure cheese from start to finish. But I do love a nice thick slice of cheese now and then in my arcade games. And I know a lot of people that watch the channel love that cheesiness as well. But leave me a comment down below. Do you remember this game in arcades? Because I will tell you, it was not very successful, and that's really not surprising. It's probably too cheesy even for its own good. But that's what I love about games like Locked and Loaded, is they take the theming and they just 100% run with it. This is your classic cops and robbers, good guy versus bad guy light gun shoot 'em up game, and it just works how you would expect it. Now, some of the sprites show up in front of the boat. Not sure if that's down to MAME or that's how the original board actually worked, because this is an extremely rare board. Good luck finding it if you want it, but honestly, this is a game where I just recommend you emulate it to check it out. But that poor cop there in the helicopter just got shot down, and now we have a fight against a fighter jet in a canal. It is hilarious. This is not how real life works. Not that video games have to adhere to real life, but it's just got everything I crave in this type of game. It's cheesy, the artwork and the digitized sprites are hilarious, the backgrounds remind me of being a kid again. This is just how games looked back in the day, and I crave experiences like this, and that's why they show up on Unported Playlist, because you've probably never heard of this before. But do leave me a comment down below and you tell me if you've heard of this game before or not. And I love this fighter pilot here with that unlimited ammo bazooka until he gets stuck in the bridge, and then you can just wail away on him because he's out of ammo. He basically becomes a sitting duck. But I will say this game also has some hilarious sound effects and some actual good kind of jazzy gangster sounding music for the soundtrack as well. So go ahead after this little intro here, listen to the music for like 45 seconds, and I'll come back and talk more about the history of this game.
To me, I'll get you.
It's exactly the type of soundtrack you would expect for a game like this, which is to say it's perfect for what it's trying to do. But now that we've moved into this house here, I just love it. Again, you have this woman in a pink dress, and because game makers can't make an infinite amount of digitized sprites, you're going to start seeing her show up all over the place. But using the color pink to denote her was probably a design mistake, because you start seeing that she's been copied and pasted a ton of times, more than any other enemy. But you will see there is some slight interactive elements in the background. Now, of course, this is still just a photograph, but they were able to add some sprites on top of that if you shoot them, things do happen. It's not the most interactive game in the world, but it just is what it is. And weirdly, it gives you 100 seconds to continue. Most arcade games give you just 10 seconds. This game gives you 100. We really have absolutely no idea why. But this feels like something that would have been on like late night television, something that would be like a rip of Lethal Weapon, but made on a budget. Because this game was just a ROM swap for another game in Data East's catalog that I've talked to about before, and I will leave a link in the description below. So when operators wanted to increase revenue or change games out on the floor, they could just pop the locked and loaded ROMs in the board, and you had this game with new artwork. So it was kind of a quick pivot to make sure that hardware was still making money. And now the boss for this level kind of looks like he's dressed up in like a Scottish Highlands outfit. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but he definitely doesn't feel like he fits in here too well. And all of a sudden, that car is just going to start plowing at you, and you get to unload on him again. But it seems like you can't actually shoot him enough to not take that damage. And I will say that this game is relatively cheap. It definitely wants your quarters. It's not the worst offender I've ever seen in an arcade game, but it's definitely looking to make some money off you before you see the credits. I'd say if I counted the virtual quarters I popped into this machine, it was probably about $25 to see the ending. But like any light gun game, you get different power-ups. You get machine guns, you get shotgun shells, you even get flame shotgun shells. And of course, it wouldn't be a 90s light gun arcade game if there wasn't an airport level. And if you ever wondered why your luggage got lost, it's because there's constant shootouts in the luggage area apparently, because that just seems how it is. That rock climber is back. Still again, there are no mountains whatsoever, and I do not know how innocent bystanders got on the tarmac at an airport. The security is clearly relatively flawed at this location. But if you can't tell already, I'm joking around a little bit because this game contextually makes no sense. But planes did used to have 2 floors with a spiral staircase in them, and even this looks like brutal 90s sort of stuff going on here. It just is not a world we live in anymore. But that's why I love games like this so much, as they remind me of back in the day. But go ahead and listen to one more piece of the soundtrack, because it is, again, spectacular. It's kind of hilarious boss. I'll be back in 30 seconds and close the video out.
It's curtains for you.
Great soundtrack, and I love that the boss is just a dude in jeans, a white tank top, and what looks like an old school Jason hockey mask. You can definitely tell this was not a high budget game. Data East was looking to make a new game for an arcade board, and they didn't want to spend a ton of money, and locked and loaded is what you're going to get out of it. But that's not a bad thing. This game is a ton of fun. It's an absolute laugh a minute, and if you have a friend next to you, it gets even better. This is the type of arcade game you play at night when you've been having a few drinks, a few beers with friends, and you want to play something that's a little bit mindless, a little bit fun, and a little bit cheesy, because Locked and Loaded has all of those things in spades. And I love the amount of trench coats that are in this game, and that character that we just shot kind of looks like Dirty Harry from the films. Then you get to this boardroom, and there's turrets and this computer system, and they're going to attack you as well. It's just always showing you something different, new, and unique, but it's always showing it to you in the lens of a classic 90s kind of action movie, and that's why this game is just so much fun, and I can't recommend it enough. Not every single game on an imported playlist is one of the best arcade games of all time. Sometimes they're just fun B-tier experiences that remind you of the era you grew up in, and that's what Locked and Loaded 100% does. So if you've never played it before, I can't recommend it enough. Give it a go. I promise you're never going to forget it if you play it once. Is it the best light gun game out there? Absolutely not. Is it the best game Data East ever made? 100% absolutely not. Is it going to put a smile on your face for half an hour while you play it? You're going to remember that you played it for the rest of your life? 100% yes. But leave me a comment down below and tell me what your favorite janky light gun game is. For every House of the Dead out there, there's also a Locked and Loaded, so I'm curious what your guys' favorite not great experience is. Sure that I'll be back next Monday with more important. I'll have videos for the week as well. But we are going to just finish up. Bye-bye.